Hello. Welcome to Commissioner in a Car. I'm Dustin Zarni, Onondaga County Democratic Elections Commissioner, and this is my Welcome to 2025 edition. Well, it's been a bit. I haven't recorded a podcast since, I think, mid-November. And so I'll explain that because once we certified in mid-November and then we spent a few weeks getting wrapped up, I was also going through my re-election campaign, and the campaign I'd already been re-elected by the Onondaga County Democratic Committee in September, but the final step had to be done in late November, and that was going on along with a few other things. And then because 2024 was such a long year and a year where I was taking a lot of time, I planned on and I always do, usually do at the end of the year, I take a vacation. It's a staycation usually, but I take a vacation to kind of reset after working 70-hour weeks for the most part since the middle of August. I decided that starting it was like around December 10th through now. In fact, I go back to work for a full day tomorrow, but I go back to work January 5th, and so I took some time off. And during that time, I had a lot of time to do some reflection, and that reflection was about what I wanted to do as a commissioner, as a public servant, and as someone who feels the need and to participate in things like this, a podcast, and my social media. So I really wanted to take some time, reflect on some of the lessons that I learned in 2024, as well as kind of take stock of my life and where I wanted to be. Don't worry, I'm not going away. This sounds a little bit more grave than I intended it. But during that time, I just, it was kind of slow news. There wasn't a lot going on. And I wanted also to process the outcomes of 2024, both locally and nationally. And I reflected back to why I kind of started these podcasts and having a more active social media presence. And that was because of the pandemic in 2020. When the pandemic happened, I felt like there was a need to do a weekly podcast that got out to the public about all the different changes that were going on in election law because of the pandemic, and that was where my Commissioner in a Car, which was kind of a seldom used vehicle before then, came out. It became a weekly podcast, and then I added later in the year the Zoom with Zarnies, which were the interviews, because town halls were not happening. People weren't able to meet candidates, and then later on that year, I started doing my weekly wonk. I think I was calling it Wonky Wednesday at that point because I was doing it on Wednesday. And that was that's really kind of like something I just like to write about, registrations and political subdivisions. And that came out of that. And as the pandemic progressed, it just got into a routine. I ended up doing usually 3 things a week. And I'm paring that down. So going into 2025, I'm going to focus on the things that I believe the public is most entitled to and also is most beneficial to the public. And that's the Commissioner in the Car, what I'm doing right now. I'm still planning on doing that weekly. It'll be on Wednesdays. It'll still be a Facebook Live, but it will then and then be broadcast on my channels, Spotify, YouTube, all of that, shortly thereafter, as will this. So that'll still happen. And then I will also do a segment every week on Sunday, but I don't know what that segment's going to be. Sometimes it'll be a weekly walk. Sometimes it'll be a Zoom with Zarni. Sometimes it'll be my seminars, Zarni seminars that go into more in depth about how to run for office and that kind of stuff. So I still plan on being pretty active because I think that's necessary. And I've heard from a lot of you about what you liked most about what I was doing. And, and believe me, there's no self delusion going on here. I know what this podcast is. I know how many people it reaches. It's very small, very local. It's very niche. It's about election administration, and that's not something that a lot of people are in tune for. But when they need to get information, this podcast has been out there, and so I feel very honored to be able to be part of the conversation when that happens. So the commissioner in car will probably be weekly, although again, occasionally I might replace a commissioner in car with a Zoom with Zarni, or a Zarni seminar. And on Sunday I will do either a Zarni seminar, or a Zoom with Zarni, or a weekly walk. And that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. 2025 is going to be a year of change, not just for the nation, obviously. President Trump is taking his place as president again of the United States. The Republicans have taken over the House on this Friday, January 3rd. They will be electing a new speaker. There's still a lot of questions about whether that will be Mike Johnson or not. And the Republicans are taking over the Senate. So nationally, we're entering a period that was much like 2017, where the Republicans had full control of the national government. But unlike 2017, locally, things are a little different. We have a new congressperson, Congressman John Mannion. He's going to be our Democratic congressperson, the first Democratic congressperson since 2010, when John Katko took the seat from Dan Maffei, who was the last and maybe only Democratic congressperson that represented the Onondaga County area. So there's change locally. Democrats still retained their hold on state government. The state Senate and the state Assembly are still well within Democratic hands, although the state Senate lost a seat, and thus they don't have a veto override, but there's still a Democratic governor in Kathy Hochul. So it's not as Democratic in the state Senate, but still going to be a Democratic state government in New York. And so that dynamic that's going to exist between a conservative federal government and a more progressive state government is going to be in play, much like we saw in 2000. Actually, it was not till 2019, because in 2017 the Republicans still had control of the Senate, so in New York. So this is kind of a new thing that we're going to be seeing, even though in 2019 there was a Democratic government. Donald Trump had been in place for a couple of years, but he had also lost the House. Yes, he also lost the House. So this full-on kind of conflicting ideologies were not quite there in 2017, as we've seen in New York. But also locally, and I mean really local, in the Board of Elections, we're going to have changes. there is going to be a new Republican commissioner. He takes office today. His name is Kevin Ryan. I've known Kevin Ryan for years. He's the former city chair. I think he's still former. I don't know. He was the city chair for the Republican Party. He's also the brother of Chris Ryan, who is taking over the Senate seat that John Mannion left to become congressman. And he is taking that over. And so Kevin Ryan is going to be the Republican commissioner. Commissioner Sardo did not get reappointed by the county legislature. And although she's got a job, she's still working for county government. And, you know, I've worked with Michelle since 2013 when I came in. And, you know, I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about, you know, what went down in 2024, but that's not something for this podcast. But I will say that I'm grateful for her service in trying to help us get through a very tough election year and run an incredibly successful election this last year. So, despite some of the hullabaloo that happened in mid-September and early October. So, and that's right, Michael Hunter commented in that Kevin Ryan, his uncle is Ed Ryan, who was a former county legislature and also former Board of Elections commissioner, who I took over for in 2013. So there's a lot of, you know, familiarity there between Kevin and myself. You know, my philosophy of the Board of Elections has always been that bipartisan boards of elections have to do two things. They have to bring their own party's ideologies to the table, but then the second thing is to find a way to merge the competing ideologies and come up with acceptable solutions to run elections. And it's like the DA and defense attorneys. They're both needed for a viable justice system, even though they have completely different philosophies. And that's how I feel about for boards of elections. So Kevin's very strong Republican, very conservative, but that doesn't mean that he's going to come in and try to change a lot of things. It doesn't mean that he's not. I think we'll find a way to work together. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure will be even more changes in the County Board of Elections. I mean, we have four new permanent people that were provided by the Onondaga County Legislature during this last budget negotiations. So we have to retool all of our organizational principles. So there's going to be a lot of changes at the board, but I'm still going to be the commissioner that was elected in 2013, and why I'm there. I'm going to be looking to make sure that all the voters get the service that they need to be able to cast their vote anonymously and safely with as little inconvenience as possible. I'm still going to be an activist. I'm still the Democratic caucus chair of the New York State Elections Commission Association. I will still be going to Albany to advocate for more funding and more resources. I will still be looking to leave that caucus. They still want me to leave that caucus, so I'll do it as long as they want me to. I'm also still a member of the Faces of Democracy for Issue 1 and the Partnership for Large Election Jurisdictions. And also, I'm still on the Local Leadership Council for the Election Assistance Commission, which will mean that I will move to, I'll be going to Washington a few times, I'm sure, in those roles to be able to help advocate for national funding and national priorities. So these are things I'm still going to continue to do. And I'm going to be more active again on social media now that the new year is here. And I'm looking forward to 2025. Now, next week's Commissioner Car on Wednesday, I'll be going over what is on the ballot in 2025 and the approximate timeline for some of the deadlines. We do not have a political calendar yet, and won't by next week, I don't think either. There is a draft political calendar out there, but one of the first orders of business that the New York State Legislature will handle is setting a political calendar, and they don't get into, I think they go into session next week. So maybe by Wednesday I'll have it, but I doubt it. But so next Wednesday I'll go over what's on the ballot for 2025 in which offices. This is a local year, and as Michael put into my comments here about legislative district, there are slight changes to legislative districts, but all the county legislators and all your town offices are up. But also there's still kind of a question about how many years they're running for, which I will go into next week when we talk about 2025 and what's on the ballot and where everything stands. But I wanted to reach out on this New Year's Day to kind of say I'm back. I plan on being back. I will be back. And I will be, hopefully this Sunday, I will do my first weekly walk of the year, recapping the 2024 election. I'll be doing the alternative voting, which is early voting and vote by mail. I usually do a 2-part look back at the election. So I'll do that this Sunday, and then the following Sunday, it'll be about Election Day and an overall turnout. As always, go to DustinZarni.com. You can follow and subscribe. I will be posting there a little bit more frequently than I have been, with this content, but also I assume that there will be some news and stuff like that, and one of the things I haven't been posting there because I haven't been in the news, and that's a good thing this time. So, there's that. So thank you very much, for following me through the years, and I hope we continue to have these conversations into 2025 and beyond. I'll be serving as elections commissioner for at least the next 2 years, as we have 2-year terms, and I'll be updating you on everything that is going on electorally each week with Commissioner Carr, and then one additional piece of content on Sundays about different electoral topics. So go to DustinZarni.com. You can get all that information. In the meantime, I hope your 2025 is safe and fulfilling. I hope your 2024, you learned the lessons that you needed to learn and moved forward. And I hope that you and your family are doing well and enjoy this new year. Have a good day. Bye-bye.